Thank you for joining us. Let's dive right in. The dismissal of the federal election interference case against former President Donald Trump shocked many. What does this say about investigative journalism in today's media climate?
It's a stark example of a paradox investigative journalism faces in the post-immunity era. Even when journalists uncover damning truths, the outcomes aren't guaranteed. In this case, Special Counsel Jack Smith cited Department of Justice policy as a reason not to prosecute a sitting president, despite extensive investigative reporting that laid out the allegations. It's no longer enough to tell the truth. That truth must now compete with public mistrust, misinformation, and political inertia.
Let's compare this to the Watergate era. What's changed since then?
Watergate was transformative. In the 1970s, investigative journalism proved its power to expose systemic corruption and hold leaders accountable. Woodward and Bernstein's work didn't just uncover a burglary, it unraveled a conspiracy that led to President Nixon's resignation. Back then, the media landscape was concentrated, with fewer outlets and a unified public trust in journalism. Today, the truth must fight through a fragmented media ecosystem, rampant misinformation, and polarized audiences. Even stories as significant as election interference struggle to gain traction or provoke action because people are more skeptical and divided than ever.
Let's take a step back. What was investigative journalism like before Watergate?
It was more deferential. Before Watergate, journalists largely trusted the government and acted as recorders of events rather than challengers of power. For example, during the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962, coverage heavily relied on official briefings, with little room for independent analysis. Similarly, early Vietnam War reporting echoed the government's overly optimistic narrative until the Pentagon Papers exposed the truth. Investigative journalism as we know it, adversarial, rigorous, and accountability-driven, was rare. Watergate changed that, establishing a new gold standard for the profession.
If Watergate was a high point, what happened afterward? Why has trust in journalism eroded?
Several factors contributed. For one, the media industry became increasingly commercialized, with some outlets prioritizing sensationalism over substance. Then came the digital age. The internet introduced endless information streams, some credible, others not. Social media platforms, driven by algorithms, amplified misinformation and eroded the shared understanding of truth. The result? A fragmented media landscape where trust is scarce, and investigative journalism struggles to cut through the noise. Many consumers now view even rigorously sourced investigations as politically biased.
How do misinformation and media fragmentation affect investigative journalism?
It's a twofold problem. First, misinformation spreads faster than fact-check journalism. For instance, during the COVID-19 pandemic, false claims about vaccines often outpaced accurate reporting, undermining public health efforts. Second, media fragmentation means that people consume news in echo chambers aligned with their beliefs. Investigative stories that challenge those beliefs may never reach those audiences.
In this post-immunity era, what can news consumers do to navigate these challenges? Is there hope for investigative journalism in this era?
Absolutely. The principles that emerged from Watergate, rigor, collaboration, and accountability, are as relevant as ever. Investigative journalism remains an essential pillar of democracy. The challenge is ensuring it reaches and resonates with audiences. That requires both journalists and consumers to adapt.
Final question, what's your call to action for our viewers?
Engage actively with the media. Don't just consume news, scrutinize it. Share credible stories, challenge misinformation, and support investigative outlets. The truth, when pursued and shared with integrity, still has the power to shape our collective future. But in the post-immunity era, it's up to all of us to ensure it finds its rightful place.
This interview underscores the shifting landscape of investigative journalism, offering practical insights for navigating the complexities of the post-immunity era. In this example, we have illustrated these concepts to you as a fake interview, You can see a library of information we have gathered for you at wikiclip.com. Thank you, and tune in again. See 2024 Wikiclip LLC.